Good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to meet top Iranian leaders in Tehran today. That is the big story that we'll be tracking. Also, Made in India space shuttle has been successfully tested. That is another big story that we'll keep focusing on. Let us begin with the headlines. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Tehran on a two-day visit, says India looks to enhance economic ties with country with whom it shares civilizational ties. Meetings with the top Iranian leadership slated today, including expected signing of the Chabahar port agreement. Afghanistan confirms killing of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor in US drone strike. Pakistan condemns killing on its soil near Ahmedabad in Balochistan. US says Mansoor posed direct threat to its interests. Jayalalitha to take oath for second consecutive time today. 28 ministers to take an oath along with her. Sarbanand Sonowal quits from Union Cabinet as Assam governor invites BJP to form government. 6 personnel of the Assam Rifles killed in ambush by militants in Chandel in Manipur. Home Minister directs security forces to take strongest possible action against the perpetrators. And India successfully launches a reusable launch vehicle from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. Indigenous winged RLV is being dubbed as India's own space shuttle. Well, our top focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Iran. Today, he is slated to meet the top Iranian leadership. Now, the highlight for the day is the expected signing of an agreement on the development of the strategic Chabahar port. Remember, Modi began his visit on Sunday with a visit to the only functioning Gurudwara in Tehran. He said that the significance of Indo-Iranian civilizational ties were great.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving in the Iranian capital Tehran on a two-day visit on Sunday. Iran's Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Ali Tayyib receiving him at the Mehrabad International Airport. On arrival, Modi tweeted that he hopes to enhance economic ties with the country that India shares civilizational ties with. From the airport, the Prime Minister left for the only functioning Gurudwara and met and addressed people of Indian origin. The Gurudwara has been functioning in Tehran since 1940s.
मैं पहली बार ईरान आया है, लेकिन मेरे कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत गुरुग्रंथ साहब के सामने सर झुका करके हो रही है। ये मेरा सौभाग्य है।
The Sikh community, some 800 families are Iranian citizens, mostly traders, who moved to Tehran in the early 20th century from Punjab.
It's a very good opportunity for our Indians staying over here. और इससे हमारे already अच्छे relation है country के साथ, पर इसके साथ इनके आने से और ज़्यादा अच्छे relation होंगे.
From there, Modi headed to his hotel where he interacted with school students on arrival. The Prime Minister has a packed schedule today as he meets the Iranian leadership. He is the first Indian Prime Minister to visit the country in 15 years. The visit is also significant since the lifting of economic sanctions on the country. After a ceremonial welcome, formal talks with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is scheduled. Rouhani will also host a lunch for Prime Minister Modi. A crucial agreement to developing the strategic Chabahar port is expected to be signed. Apart from this, India is looking at doubling oil imports from the Persian Gulf nation. Modi will also call on Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei before his return. Qurban Ali's report from Tehran for Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, my colleague Qurban Ali is now joining us on the phone line from Tehran. Now, Qurban, Prime Minister Modi will have crucial meetings with the Iranian leaders today and also witness signing of various agreements having economic and strategic importance. Tell us more.
That's right, Aishwarya. As I'm talking to you right now, the President of Iran, Mr. Hassan Rouhani, is receiving Prime Minister Modi at the Jamhuri building, Shahrabad Palace. You can hear the voice of the band, and the ceremonial reception is going to give to the Prime Minister Modi. And from now onwards, he is a very hectic and busy schedule till afternoon, and he's going to meet many leaders doing bilateral discussions, agreements.
Right,
and
Kurban,
then
I'm
it
sorry
will
to
be,
interrupt you here,
issued
but
to
we are
the
getting live visuals from Tehran at the moment. As you can see, Prime Minister Modi is being accorded ceremonial welcome at the Sabha, the palace. Now, after the reception, he is slated for a restricted meeting with Hassan Rouhani, the president of Iran, at the Sadabad Palace. And remember, the delegation level talks will follow after the meeting. So these are the live visuals that we are getting from Iran. In fact, you can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi there. It is going to be a crucial day. He's on a 2-day visit to Iran, and it is going to be a crucial day today because there are going to be crucial meetings lined up with the top Iranian leaders. All right, these are the live visuals that we are getting from Tehran. Let's go across to my colleague Qurban Ali, who's joining us from there. Qurban, as you were telling us how crucial this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be, especially because this comes 4 months after the sanctions on Iran were lifted, and the international community is now re-engaging with the nation. Considering that, it is going to be a very crucial visit, isn't it?
That's right, Aishwarya, but as you can hear, that ceremonial reception of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going on. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is with him, and he is just taking guard of honor. But as far as the crucial relationship is concerned, it's very important for both the countries because after a very long time, both the countries are now going to sign or to write a new beginning of the economic and social as well as cultural cooperation with India and Iran. And Prime Minister visit is also very important because this is the first time in the last 15 years an Indian Prime Minister visiting Iran on a bilateral trip and signing so many important agreements. One of them is Sabha, the most important agreement, and it will open India's access not only to Iran and Afghanistan, but whole of Central Asia, as well as Russia and north of Europe. So it's very important. And Minister of Shipping, Mr. Gadkari, was talking to me last night. He said that it will be operational in 18 months' time. So if this happens, this will be a revolution, and India will benefit its energy needs from Iran.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Qurban, for all those details there. So it is going to be a very crucial visit. Remember, this coming This is a first by an Indian Prime Minister in 15 years. And as you can see on your television screens, these are the live visuals there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi there. He's being accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Sadabad Palace. Now, he is going to meet the top Iranian leadership today, and there's going to be a crucial signing of agreements, especially that one on the Chabahar port. All right, that is one story that we'll keep tracking through the day. Let's move on to some other news now. India is the first of its kind space satellite launch vehicle. RLV-TD was launched from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh today. The 6.5-meter long reusable launch vehicle technology demonstrator, or the RLV-TD, weighs about 1.75 tons. Now, the cost of this project is 95 crore rupees. This is the first time that ISRO flew a winged body and will bring it back also. Now, this is being seen as a baby step towards India's first test flight for a reusable launch vehicle. And remember, this comes after NASA grounded its reusable launch shuttle in 2011.
Indeed, this is a great day for all of us, and as you rightly said, as somebody associated with the Department of Space, Government of India, it gives me a special sense of pride. And I'm sure today's day, the 23rd of May 2016, will go down in the history of ISRO as a landmark day.
Let's bring you some political news now. And Jayalalitha will be sworn in today as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for the 6th time. She will be sworn in for a second consecutive term along with her 28 other ministers. The ceremony will take place at the Madras University Centenary Auditorium. This auditorium has a special significance for Jayalalitha, as she was first sworn in as the Chief Minister in 1991. In 2011 as well, she took the oath of office at the same premises. While in 2001, the swearing-in ceremony was held at Raj Bhavan. When sworn in, now Jayalalitha will be starting her 4th term in office. Her first term was between 1991 to 1996. Second one was from 2001 to 2006, and the third from 2011 to 2016. Now, for nearly 6 months, starting September 2001, she was out of office after she was unseated by Supreme Court vis-a-vis electoral disqualification. Between 2014 September and May 2015, she was out of office again after she was disqualified as a legislator and consequently lost chief ministership following her conviction in a graft case by a trial court in Bangalore, which was later set aside by the Karnataka High Court. And on to some news coming in from Assam. Well, the Chief Minister designate Sarbanand Sonowal resigned from the Union Council of Ministers on Sunday. The resignation was forwarded by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to President Pranab Mukherjee, who later accepted it. Sonowal stepped down as the Union Sports Minister after he was unanimously elected as the BJP Legislature Party leader of Assam. He is now set to take oath as the state's new Chief Minister on 24th of May. But even before taking charge, Sonowal has his priorities cut out. He's said that the implementation of the Assam Accord is his topmost priority. He has also vowed to seal the borders with Bangladesh in 2 years' time in a bid to stop infiltration into the country. Now, remember, this was one of the poll promises made by the BJP prior to the elections in Assam. Following Sonowal's resignation, our Union Minister Jitendra Singh has been given additional charge of the Sports Ministry. And news from Uttarakhand, where the Chief Minister Harish Rawat has been asked to appear before the CBI. Now, this is in connection with the probe into the sting operation involving him. The CBI had last week rejected the Uttarakhand government's notification withdrawing the case related to the sting operation. CBI has registered a preliminary inquiry that it did on 29th of April to probe the sting operation, purportedly showing Rawat offering bribes to the rebel Congress lawmakers to support him during a floor test in the Uttarakhand Assembly. Well, the case was handed over to the CBI when the President's rule was imposed in the state. The notification was withdrawn immediately after Rawat proved his majority in the Assembly and his government was restored. The Uttarakhand High Court, however, refused to quash the ongoing CBI probe into the sting operation. Now, Harish Rawat has said that he'll be fully cooperating with the CBI into the probe. And in News at 10, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Now, 6 security personnel of the 29 Assam Rifles, including a junior commissioned officer, were killed when militants ambushed their convoy in Chandel district of Manipur, close to the Myanmar border. This happened on Sunday afternoon, and the convoy was attacked by heavily armed militants in Chandel when the security personnel were returning after inspecting a landslide site in the district. It is now suspected that 2 or more militant groups jointly carried out the attack. Now, more troops were rushed to the area and a massive search operation is underway at the moment. Meanwhile, Home Minister Rajnath Singh directed the security forces to take strongest possible action against the militants involved in the killing. The Home Minister also spoke to Assam Rifles Director General, who apprised him of the situation and also the action that has been taken so far.
This is certainly a very unfortunate incident. But the Honourable Home Minister Shri Rajnath Singh Ji was very prompt in his response. He's immediately taken cognizance of it and also issued appropriate instructions. At the same time, I will also use this opportunity to convey my deep condolences to those of our brave Jawans and soldiers who got martyred in this encounter. It is they who are defending our people, our borders, and also our civilian population. And I think their sacrifice is certainly the supreme of its kind.
Let's bring you the top international story. Well, Afghanistan has given the first official confirmation of the killing of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. The US says it has no definitive proof of his death in the multiple drone strikes authorized by US President Barack Obama in a Pakistani town in Balochistan province. Well, the death of the Taliban leader is a blow to his friends in the Pakistani military and the security establishment, and it starts another struggle for the Taliban leadership. Confirmation of the death of Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. Both Afghanistan spy agency and the country's chief executive Abdullah asserted that Mansoor had been killed after the US targeted him in a drone strike. The drone targeted his vehicle in Ahmedwal, a remote area of southwest Pakistan near the Afghan border on Saturday. It is the first known US assault on a top Afghan Taliban leader on Pakistani soil and marks a major blow to the terrorist movement, which saw a new resurgence under Mansoor.
در سلسله عملیات‌های ضد تروریستی قوات‌های ایالات متحده آمریکا یک عملیات را توسط درون‌ها برآ انداختند و موتر حامل اختر محمد منصور مورد هدف قرار دادند در بیرون از سرحدات افغانستان و احتمال
Mansour was a threat to that effort and to bringing an end to the violence and the suffering that the people of Afghanistan have endured for so many years now. He also was directly opposed to peace negotiations and to the reconciliation process. It is time for Afghans to stop fighting and to start building a real future together.
The elimination of Mansoor has set off a power struggle over his successor. The two frontrunners are said to be close to the Pakistani military establishment, which has historically nurtured and supported the Taliban. Pakistan has lambasted the US over the drone attack, calling it a violation of its sovereignty. Afghanistan has, however, hit at Pakistan over giving shelter to terrorists.
گروه حقانی در پاکستان است. ملا عمر در پاکستان بود. اسامه بن لادن در پاکستان بود. اینا میاری شما ببینید ملا منصور هم در پاکستان در بلوچستان کشته شده. بنان خوبی است که پاکستان بالاخره آماده ازی شود که با افغانستان همکاری کنند و اون کسانی که در افغانستان جنگ ادامه میتن اونا را اجازه ندن که در خاک پاکستان باشند.
The drone attack came just days after representatives from the US, China, Pakistan and Afghanistan held another round of negotiations in Islamabad aimed at reviving direct peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. The Taliban have already stepped up their campaign against the Western-backed Kabul government, and Mansoor's death could also scupper any immediate prospect of peace talks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the death toll in the floods in Sri Lanka has reached 84, with rescuers pulling out 15 more bodies from the debris. More than 100 people are missing in the floods that have been triggered by the heaviest rains in the island nation in over a quarter century. The heavy rains have pounded Sri Lanka since last weekend, triggering huge landslides that have buried some victims in up to 50 feet of mud. The Sri Lankan army and their other rescuers are engaged in rescue operations in the worst-hit district of Kegale. Around 340,000 people have been displaced across the country in the floods and the landslides. Meanwhile, the death toll is likely to go up as rescue teams reach some of the worst-hit areas. The nation's 25 districts have been badly affected due to the floods and the landslides. Now, various nations, including India, Pakistan, China, Australia and Japan, are bringing in aid supplies such as blankets, water purification tablets as well as drinking water. In fact, an Indian Air Force plane and 2 naval ships carrying emergency supplies have arrived in Colombo. The United Nations has also pledged to support the Sri Lankan government in its efforts to respond to the needs on the ground. And at least 17 girls have been killed and several reported missing in a fire that swept through the dormitory of a private school for children of hill tribes in northern Thailand. Now, the victims are reported to be between the ages of 5 and 12. 5 school girls were reported injured in the fire which broke out at the 2-story building of Pitha Kiarat school in the province late last night. Now, there were 38 schoolgirls staying at the boarding house, most of whom were asleep when the fire broke, and they were unable to escape the blaze. Now, after the blaze, officials could only evacuate a few of the girls while the rest were trapped inside. Reports say that most victims were burned beyond recognition. Rescuers picked through the debris late last night and into the morning today as well. The victims' bodies were sent to hospital for identification. Let's get you some more international news now in World Wrap. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi has announced that the start of a military operation to retake Fallujah from the Islamic State. Civilians have been told to leave the town. Now, special forces, soldiers, military, as well as pro-government tribesmen will take part in the operation to retake the city. It was the first city, remember, to fall to Islamic State in 2014 and is the one of the only 2 of Islamic State remaining strongholds in Iraq. The ally of Turkish President Erdogan, who has been nominated as the country's new prime minister, has called for a move to a presidential rule. Addressing a congress of the ruling AK party, Binal Yildirim called for a new constitution. Earlier, Turkish President Erdogan had confirmed that he is the country's new prime minister. He replaces Davutoglu, who promoted his own ambitious agendas. Egypt has deployed a robot submarine to search for the flight data recorders of the missing Egypt airplane. An international flotilla of search ships aided by surveillance planes scored a section of the sea, and it retrieved some wreckage, belongings and the human remains as well. But the main body of the plane and its cockpit data as well as the voice recorders are yet to be found. Remember, the Airbus A320 was en route from Paris to Cairo with 66 people on board when it vanished from radar on Thursday. Austria's presidential election remains on a knife edge with all votes from the polling stations now counted. Now, the Freedom Party's Norbert Hofer gained popularity amid widespread disappointment with the mainstream parties as well as the fears over influx of refugees from countries such as Syria who have passed through Austria. The result will now be decided when all the postal ballots are counted today. The Greek parliament has passed new budget cuts and tax rises. The demonstrators gathered outside parliament on Sunday to protest against the new legislation. Remember, this comes just 2 days before a Eurozone meeting expected to unblock much-needed bailout funds. Greece agreed to a third bailout worth $96 billion last year. Eurozone finance ministers are going to meet in Brussels on Tuesday. And on to some sporting action. Now, controversial Australian Nick Kyrgios and two-time Wimbledon champion Petra Kvitova reached the French Open second round on Sunday as Roland Garros got off to a damp, chilly start. Consistent rainfall shortened the first day of the play, forcing many of the day's scheduled matches to be moved to the next day, that is today. Now, Kyrgios overcame a first-set court violation to defeat Italy's Marco Cecchinato 7-6, 7-6, 6-4. The 17th seed picked up a warning for screaming at a ball boy on a shivering court, where the temperatures have refused to budge above 15 degrees Celsius. The fiery Australian got into a dispute with the chair umpire as well, who took exception to him loudly demanding a towel from one of the ball boys. However, Kyrgios recovered his composure to see off world number 124 Cecchinato and set up a second round clash against Dutch lucky loser Igor Sisling. The 21-year-old Australian fired 16 aces and 50 winners on his way to victory. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, Czech 10-seed Kvitova survived a scare to beat Danka Kovinic 6-2, 4-6, 7-5. The two-time Wimbledon champion, who has 2 points away from the defeat when she trailed the world number 57 at 4-5 in the decider. But then she claimed the next 3 games and now she goes on to face Taiwan's Su Wei-hish for a place in the last 32. Kvitova, a semi-finalist in Paris in 2012, committed 10 double faults in a typically roller coaster display against an opponent who made the Istanbul final on clay this season. More sporting action in Sports Beat. 10-man Barcelona completed the Spanish League and Cup double as 2 goals in extra time clinched the Copa del Rey. Luis Enrique's side claimed the trophy for the 28th time despite having Xavi Mascherano sent off in the first half. Jordi Alba and Neymar scored for Barcelona, who can post back-to-back doubles after winning the La Liga. Meanwhile, Juventus became the first Italian side in history to complete back-to-back doubles as a substitute Alvaro Morata scored an extra-time winner against AC Milan in the Coppa Italia final. The 23-year-old swept home a half-volley from Juan Cuadrado's cross to settle a game high on effort but short on quality in the third final. Juventus claimed the Italian title for the 5th successive season in April. South Africa's Caster Semenya won the 800 meters at the Diamond League meeting in Morocco, the first to be held in Africa. Semenya, who underwent gender testing after winning gold in the 2009 World Championship, posted home in 1 minute 56.64 seconds, which is the fastest time in the world this year. It was a clear favourite for gold as well in the event at Rio 2016, where she also plans to run the 400 meters. MotoGP World Champion Jorge Lorenzo won the Italian Grand Prix on Sunday after passing fellow Spaniard Marc Marquez in the final meters with the last corner sure. The Yamaha rider took the checkered flag by a mere 19 nanoseconds as Marquez appeared to have won a wheel-to-wheel duet between the two at the circuit near Florence. Rory McIlroy secured his first win of the season by producing a dramatic final in the Irish Open, his home tournament. On Sunday, he trailed Scotland's Russell Knox by on-shot with 3 holes to play, but outstanding second shots at the 16th and the 18th helped him the birdie and eagle, which saw him win by 3. He shot a 69 to end on 12 under to clinch his first success in 6 months. That's all in this edition of news, but news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for your time.